fabulous musicians.
Hello, welcome back to a new episode of Everything Phil Collins. And today's episode is brought to you by my friend George from Australia. Good day, mate. Good day. From down under, mate. Not bad. That's not bad. I think I'm going to lose some subscribers from that. You know, we did a video. George has sent me 2 boxes full of incredibly rare Genesis bootlegs and Phil Collins bootlegs and just rare Phil and Genesis. We share a diehard passion for the band and for Phil primarily, and we share a diehard passion for really weird records, rare records. I've done 2 videos on unboxing videos, so go back in my channel and watch those if you haven't already. George is the most generous person I've ever met in my life. And my favorite record that he's ever sent me is the record that we're going to listen to today, we're going to talk about today. I promised to do a review on this record for a very long time, and today is the day. Not only is this my favorite record that George has ever sent to me, this is quite likely my favorite record in my entire record collection. And that's what we're talking about today is Phil Collins' No Ticket Required, which is a bootleg. It is a live album. It's a double disc. It features songs from Face Value, Hello, I Must Be Going, and No Jacket Required. We'll talk about, this is recorded in Dallas, Texas. This is I believe this is an audio rip from the Laserdisc. Now, if anybody has more information, we can talk about it. And in the comments, please let me know. I always love to hear that. This is absolutely one of my favorite pieces in my collection because it's extremely rare. When George sent it to me, he knew that I was on the lookout. I love bootlegs, but I feel like there's a plethora of bootlegs from certain eras, and then a lack of vinyl. I'm referring to vinyl mostly. I know that digital is available for every single era. I love digital. I have a ton of digital downloads of digital bootlegs from Phil and Genesis and Peter. And I love those. Those have a place, but there is nothing better than the intimate experience of vinyl. Now, a lot of people in the comments will go, well, hold on a second. It's just somebody pressing a digital recording or whatever. That's probably not the case here, although it was digital, I guess, in the sense it was a Laserdisc. Anyway, my point is like having a collection, having a record collection, a tape collection, regardless of the audio source of that, that's what's meaningful to me. And I'll show you pictures of my record collection. This is my shrine to music and primarily to Phil, but this is where I spend most of my days is just here listening to music either through the speakers or through headphones. I like to DJ myself little parties where no one else is invited except me. This record is really special to me because I've never seen it before. And when George sent it to me, I had never, ever seen it. I think maybe like scouring through Discogs or something came up because I did eventually see it on my want list. So I must have at some point clicked on it, but maybe not realizing it was vinyl. Maybe I thought it was CD. I have no idea how many of these are in existence because they never come up. I would imagine if it came up, it would be well over $100 in value, likely more just because it's so rare. There's some rare Genesis bootlegs that I see more frequently. I have another Phil bootleg that I bought off of Discogs, which is strange because usually Discogs don't sell bootlegs. But this is a bootleg from the Hello, I Must Be Going tour. So this is similar to the At the Tower bootleg or live album that was just released. It's also similar to the Perkins Palace, but it's actually not the same as the video of Perkins Palace recording. I do not believe. But those, I see those like ever so often. But to see a vinyl pressing from the No Jacket Required tour is really, really special. And it's something I had talked to George about. And so when he sent me this, I was blown away. And George does this thing, you'll see it in the video, where he like stacks them in order of like anticipation and excitement. And so I'm opening these records and I'm blown away. And then this was the last record. And I just was absolutely blown away. Now, a lot of things with bootlegs is that usually bootlegs don't sound very good. But because this was I believe this is a rip from the Laserdisc. So it was professionally recorded and it was probably professionally mixed and mastered for the DVD, or at the time it was a Laserdisc. I imagine a VHS as well. So this sounds really good. It doesn't sound like it was transferred from tape. It doesn't, the bass is good. The clarity is really good. I'm going to play you lots of clips from it at the risk of getting in trouble from Tony Smith and YouTube, but we'll see. Because it's not official recordings, I might be able to get away with it. What I like about this too is the track listing, because there are a lot of songs that are similar to Serious Hits Live, right? We have Sussudio, we have You Can't Hurry Love, we have Who Said I Would, Take Me Home, In the Air Tonight. Those are all songs that would come on the next tour that we would actually get official recordings for. So, but what I like about this record is some of the oddballs that you would not normally get, and not normally get on the At the Tower recording as well. This one here. So this one has songs from Hello, I Must Be Going, like China, etc. But for me, it's like Hand in Hand that we don't have like great recordings for. Behind the Lines, It Don't Matter to Me sounds really good on this. I'll play you some clips of that. So, well, I was really blown away with Hand in Hand, and it sounds fantastic on this recording. Hand in Hand is not only is it in my top 10 Phil songs, I think it's moving its way into my top 5. Even though it's instrumental, it just has that Phil sound, and it combines all of Phil's great elements. It has like premonitions of Tarzan yet to come. It has Motown, obviously, with the horns and the way that Phil plays the drums, but it starts off a little bit more ambient, Brian Eno, a little bit more ominous and mysterious in the same way that he did with some of the stuff on Tarzan, like Two Worlds. But then it's melodic, like you can sing along with the horn parts, and that way you know it's a Phil song. Anyway, I love Hand in Hand, and it sounds so good on this. The resolution of this cover does seem a little bit blown up, perhaps wasn't intended to be made that big. So I think this is made in Germany, published by Music Brandenburg. Obviously on bootlegs, they don't provide much copyright because they don't own the copyright. And as always, or most often, you see something that is like mysterious on the label. And I think my theory with that, so when was this pressed? We don't know when this was pressed, but my theory with that is that if it's going through a manufacturing plant and they see like a Phil Collins, like they see a pop star or a really popular band like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, or Genesis, that maybe like they could get caught in the pressing plant. So it kind of flies under the radar if it has like a label that is like recognizable. If it has a label that is like obscure, like, you know, what's that one on some of the old Genesis ones have like obscure labels. Anyway, I don't have a year on this. We do know that the No Ticket Required video was released, I believe it was 1985. Can you let me know? This was recorded in May in Dallas in 1985. And so I imagine that it was 1985 or early 86. If you could let me know, because I know that some of you probably bought the video when it came out. I was just 2 years old, so that I didn't. But I really do like the video for this. It's really cool. Some of the things I want to play you. Let me play you the intro. There's a long 10-minute band introductions. And you know, like Phil is super hammy. Like he just loves doing those introductions. And we get them on most of the tours. And he's so funny in those things. And I think the audience loves it. And it's interesting because on a live album, you don't normally get that. In fact, it does take up 10 minutes of the side A on the second disc. I'm not sure. There might have been another song. Sometimes on this tour, he would do, no, I can't remember. This might be the complete set list. I think there's another song because we have Drone to End, which I think was Droned, I think is, if I'm not mistaken, I've forgotten now, but I think Droned on this record is actually just the album version, which would have just played the credits, right? The credits of the video was, I think, Droned. So the last song is It's All Right. But I think maybe, did he do People Get Ready? Or am I thinking of Perkin Palace? Anyway, usually we don't want the intros because we want to fit more songs on it, or we just want the records to be shorter. Because, you know, I know that the new LA Forum record, you know, this one here, this has some long intros from Phil, like the Home by the Sea intro and a little intro for In Too Deep, and some of the old songs intros. And I think, you know, when you're listening to it, like you don't want like to hear the same jokes over and over. It's in the moment live. It's hilarious. It's fun. But to listen to it on a live record. So the intro, you know, the band intros, there's music in the background. It's funny. Like I might skip over it though, because it's not something you want to hear all the time.
It's about that time of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, when I'd like to take it down a little bit here and take this opportunity of introducing to you, Dallas, the fabulous, and I mean that sincerely, fabulous musicians that we've got playing up on stage here tonight. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here. No, I jest. Shoo-doo-be-doo-ah. Ba-ba-ba, shoo-doo-be-wah, yeah. Oh yes, oh no, Dallas, I love you.
I also want to play you a clip of You Can't Hurry Love. I'm going to get in trouble for this, so I'll just play a quick clip. The transition from You Can't Hurry Love into It Don't Matter to Me is really nice.
No matter how long it takes and I'll
This album opens up with Only You Know and I Know, but am I wrong in thinking that he did open up the tour occasionally with I Don't Care Anymore? Can you let me know about that? But what if I find interesting is how early in the set Studio was. And perhaps maybe it wasn't as massive of a hit by the time that he was touring this, although I think it was. But the fact that Studio is early in the set, even in the air tonight, you know, like as the years would go on, he would start to like backload the set with his biggest hits, like Easy Love, In the Air Tonight, into Easy Lover, Two Hearts, You Can't Hurry Love, Studio, Groovy, Take Me Home. You know what I mean? He would backload the set with the big songs, and then kind of like the exciting, not massive hits like Who Said I Would, Only You Know and I Know, Something Happened on the Way to Heaven, Don't Lose My Number. Like those songs would be kind of towards there. Anyway, I just found it interesting, especially on here, how like early Studio comes. It feels like the song isn't given the place in the set list that it deserves, or that it would eventually become like one of his biggest live tunes. And it's not even played as long. I think like in But Seriously and in other years, it's drawn out way bigger with bigger horns and almost like the 12-inch remix version. It's just presented. The other cool thing, there's like an intro where Phil says about One More Night. He's like, here's a new song that just came out. I think it probably One More Night was, he says that One More Night came out while they were on the road, but it came out a couple weeks after Studio did. So it would have been like on the airwaves for 4 or 5 months by the time the tour started. Whereas Don't Lose My Number and Take Me Home were not yet big singles. Yet he still closed the tour and the album with sort of closed it with Take Me Home before the encore. Okay, as I'm recording this, I just noticed something that's missing, a really big song. As I talk about the singles that's missing from this album, can you spot it? It was played on the tour, generally, I believe, but there's a huge, massive No Jacket Required song that's missing from this album, and that's Don't Lose My Number. How kind of crazy is that? I mean, if that single came out in the summer, July, and this was recorded in May, and so when this was recorded, the album was maybe only 5 months old or so. Perhaps that song hadn't really kind of like struck a chord yet, and it wasn't a fan favorite yet. So I wonder what that was, how that did live, and you know why they didn't include that on the No Ticket Required, or maybe they did, and then the bootlegger who pressed this left it off. You'll have to let me know. So sorry, I just found the Discogs for this record. It says it was released in 1986. In Germany, on Discogs, 11 people have it. I'm one of those people. Yeah, there's really no other information about it. The last time it sold was for $40 US. I think it would go for a lot more than that because it's so rare, but who knows? Anyway, thank you to George for sending me this record. I hope you enjoy the clips. I'll play some more clips of this. It's really beautiful. I really should one day put it on the turntable and rip it digitally. I know that exists already. I have the audio already, but maybe a vinyl rip would be kind of cool to have. And now my question for you is, do you have this record? I mean, I imagine a lot of you have the digital rip of it. Do you have this bootleg on CD? Does that exist? Do you have No Jacket Required tour cassettes that you want to let us know about? And maybe you want to send me one. That would be fun. Did you go to this tour, the No Jacket Required tour? I would love to know that. I think this is due for an official release. To be honest, I think like there needs to be more Phil Collins live stuff released in the way that like, you know, Genesis did it. I have a theory. I'm going to do a video on it. Not a theory, but I have an idea for a great like best of live Phil Collins album, like a digital release, CD release, vinyl release. I think they should do an official release of his like best of live. I know that Serious Hits is sort of like that, but it's so old. Like I think they could do a better one and do multiple discs, kind of like the Genesis BBC recordings, but maybe covering some songs that had never been released live. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'll do a video about that. That's my idea. So did you go to that tour? Do you have this vinyl? I'd love to know that, to see who are the other 10 people in the world who are holding on to this. And if you have any more information about this bootleg, meaning how many were made, where were they sold at the time, how did you get your hands on one? I'd love to know, like, the more information you can share with me in the comments or send me an email. You can send an email to info@everythingphilcollins.com. That's info@everythingphilcollins.com. And any information you want to share with me, I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching, and thanks to George. What a great record.